than to welcome the world's first A380 to enter service. Now, let us show you how the A380 puts air travel in a new light.
Singapore Airlines presents comfort, space, luxury. Travel with us in a whole new light.
Feel the space.
He says
Around
ambitious targets were set for noise and other emissions for the A380, and it also sets new standards for space and is being described as a game changer, a quantum leap in air travel. And in the world's largest passenger jet, Singapore Airlines is also launching its new Singapore Airlines Suites class.
And you know, Sushila, too bad we're not taking part in all that good wine and food at the event. Too bad we're just talking about it and just soaking in the sights there.
Why am I here with you again?
Exactly. Too bad. I mean, a Ferragamo door bags and gifts. I mean, so. But,
I'll see what we can get for you, Chloe.
I mean, I'll take your word for it. The interesting thing is, as the SIA puts on a spectacular show tonight, Shukor, do you think this event will actually encourage other carriers to snap up orders for the A380? Because if you think about it, not a single carrier in North America has bought an A380.
That's true. I mean, apart from North America, also in Europe, you're seeing only Virgin, British Airways, Lufthansa, and Air France jumping on the bandwagon. It's an aircraft that has been very popular in Asia Pacific. The majority, the bulk of the orders have come from Asia, but surprisingly, you know, you've seen Cathay Pacific and the two major Japanese carriers, ANA and Japan Airlines, deciding not to go ahead with. Were seriously keen on this aircraft. If they had thought that it would be the answer to the future, they would have gone for it a long time ago. But it tells you something that they're stepping behind it.
About where the industry stands and how the industry views the plane.
But again, as Stephen said, you know, it's going both ways. But my guess is that, you know, it specifically caters to a very small market. At the end of the day, I think you will see Singapore Airlines and a few other Emirates perhaps dominating pairs like Singapore, London, or Dubai, London, and so on. And the rest of the market will be dominated by aircraft the size of the Dreamliner and the 350 extra wide body.
And I'm really glad that both of you have very different views on this plane, and that's why it makes the debate tonight more interesting. Stephen, you're shaking your head saying no, obviously disagreeing. Yeah. Why? And do you think, for instance, this is a huge beast here? Its wingspan is almost long as a football field, 8 stories tall. Certainly, this plane cannot fit into all the major airports around the world.
The airports from the airlines that Shuko just mentioned, and I think you'll find that there are differences in the way airlines approach these questions. We, for example, have always been a very early adopter of new technology. You just heard Stephen Lee talk about our history in that regard. A lot of other airlines like Cathay Pacific, for example, sit back and wait and have a look at how the aircraft enters into service. Maybe they don't want to be an early adopter, and there's very good reasons why they may decide not to do it that way. But I think, you know, I reinforce the view that once airlines like us and Emirates and Qantas and Air France and Lufthansa and others, British Airways, all start operating this aircraft, I think you're going to find that it will grow. I don't think the American carriers are buying it right now because they just don't have the money. You know, it's quite simply an economic argument for them that they're not in the market for long-haul, large passenger aircraft. None of the American carriers have bought the 747-8, an American product. Not one American carrier has bought that either.
And the interesting thing is, John Leahy, the COO customers of Airbus, has been calling this, he comes up with really snazzy expressions, doesn't he? He's been calling this, aside from the game changer, a green giant. Now tell us why the A380, from a public's point of view, it's big, so maybe it's a gas guzzler, but why this plane is actually giving a more environmental touch, a more economically efficient touch to the traditional airplane?
I think that's a really good question. It actually typifies the argument that big doesn't necessarily mean dirtier. In fact, what Airbus has done here, and Rolls-Royce, the engine manufacturers, have designed an aircraft that burns less